Next is our superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. A couple of things I want to point out this evening. Indeed, we're very grateful to be here at Dutch Fork and grateful for all of Dutch Fork's success. And one further indication of just how great this school and the programs are is the fact that Sarah Longshore, who's our assistant principal for instruction. Sarah, would you stand? Sarah is our state, this year she's South Carolina's Assistant Principal of the Year, and she has just been named one of the 3 finalists for National Assistant Principal of the Year. So congratulations to Ms. Longshore. We are continuing to receive attention from not only here in our own state and around our country, but all around the world. I guess it was since we last met, a week before last, we had a delegation, our second delegation from China, to visit us here in the district, a group of educators from the Beijing National Day School who visited. It was their first visit to the United States, and their first stops were at the Center for Advanced Technical Studies and Spring Hill High School. And they were very interested in lots of things, but one of the reasons they chose us is they're very interested in what we're doing to tie student studies to the world of work and how we are preparing our students for the needs of our economy. So that was great. And again, I'm sure that we'll have other folks who will be visiting us as well, but we felt very good about that. This evening, we'll begin with our monthly financial reports. Mr. Richardson, our Chief Finance Officer.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hefner, members of the board. I'd like to draw your attention to Exhibit B. It's our monthly financial report through the month of January, which means we are 7/12 through the year, which means we've about 60% through the year, as a matter of fact. On the very first page of the report, I'm going to draw your attention to the revenue page. In the top there, where you see all the local taxes, you see that we had no receipts during the month of January. So we're actually a little bit better off than what this is showing, is I guess my point. Our receipts didn't start coming in until February. January is one of our biggest months on collecting local taxes. So this is actually a little short of where we should be, but that's just because we didn't receive anything in time for this posting. But otherwise, we're right on target. And of course, after following that is just the detailed information of that first page. We get over to the expenditures, of course. Unless you have specific questions about anything in the detail here, I'll just draw your attention to the very last page, where we currently have $83.4 million remaining budget out of a total of $163.3 million, or 51% of our budget left. Be glad to entertain any specific questions.
Ms. Baumgartner.
On the second page with the budget report by account, I just noticed an item, errant revenue. What exactly is errant revenue?
Which page are you on?
Page 2, the budget for report by account.
Oh, E-rate. Okay, I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
didn't catch
I
that.
just
It's
wondered
E-rate.
what-
That's, I don't know, I'm the one that can really explain that, but that's where we get reimbursement for certain programs from the federal government, the universal service charge you might see on your telephone bills and things. That helps pay for some of the technology. It's just where the federal government reimburses us for phones and those type of things.
Ms. Hammond.
I had a question on, excuse my voice, I've got a cough and terrible sounding to listen to, I'm sure. But student fees on that first page, it shows the original $12,000 year-to-date and then remaining balance. That's in the quotation marks. Does that mean, or the parentheses, does that mean we've got that overage for student fees? See straight across?
That means we have collected more than we budgeted.
We have,
We've collected more.
That's what I
yes.
thought.
That's a good thing when you're looking at revenue.
That's a good day, that's what I thought. And that student fees, that's just from all the schools and the different fees that they, I get more questions from the public about student fees.
Now, this
because-
is not the typical fees that you see that are
Well,
at
that's
each
my
school.
question.
This is what we collect for the phone, I forget what the proper term is, the phone blast that we do. We collect, I believe it's a $2 fee for that. And-
Okay, this has nothing to do really with an individual school that has fees for a science workbook or what, because, you know.
That's correct. Those are in the pupil activity fund, and they're
I
accounted
got
for
you.
in a different fund.
So that's not on this. Thank you, because that's one thing I wanted to get clear, because there are many questions from the public about how do we, come up with the student fees when you just call it that. So I thought this had to do with the same thing. Thank you.
This one is not, yes, ma'am.
Are there any other questions?
All right, thank you, Mr. Richardson. We'll now go to our monthly update on design and construction. Here to bring us our report this evening is Joe Huggins, who is with our construction management group. Welcome, Mr. Huggins.
Thank you, Dr. Hefner. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, and Dr. Hefner and staff. And it's a pleasure to be here tonight for our construction update. And we'll go ahead and get started with Irmo High School. As you know, we're actively working the amphitheater portion between the old Kate West Wing building and the new auditorium. And you can see on that picture on the left, you can see the loading dock area back there in the back that we've got placed with the concrete drive, and that area is coming along. The amphitheater is taking shape. I know Dr. Hefner doesn't like this, but the cold weather kind of limits us with concrete work and brick work, but we're working as fast as we can and as well as we can in the weather to come along. But the amphitheater is coming. That picture there is the new connector that connects the old West Wing to the new auditorium, where the band and string students will traverse from their practice areas to the auditorium for the concerts in the new theater. And then again, a close-up picture of the loading dock back there and the access into the theater from the amphitheater back in the back. So I would anticipate probably a month and a half left in the amphitheater proper to get that done with the weather that we're experiencing, but it shouldn't be long till we're turning that over. Also at Irmo, we'll have punch list items that we're working and closeout procedures as well. So, New Chapin Middle School. Again, we are actively trying to beat Mother Nature, and they're doing a good job out there. Like I briefed you before, we're working the steel, roofing, and masonry triangle out there to try to stay on schedule and try to keep up and catch up with the weather that we've had. The good news is our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing subs, they are top shelf, and they are there working 9-10 hours a day regardless of rain and heavy weather, and that's really keeping us up to snuff as much as we can with the schedule there. They're doing a great job. We got our side parking lot paved here since the last time we've met. You can see the pictures. We talked about the electrical and mechanical. That room is pretty much typical. They are moving along rapidly, bringing those rooms online with the rough ends there. The new big duct that goes in the gym is installed and moving on. There's our paving machine that we had out there with the parking lot. And as I said, structural steel is the big item we're working as we move along. I know Dr. Hefner doesn't like to hear about weather, but we actually used it to our advantage.
Am I the ogre of the night here? But you're right. You are right. You are correct.
Yes, sir. Friday morning, it was 10 degrees, and the mud at the middle school was frozen, and we used the frozen mud to get our new HVAC units across and get them up on the roof for the kitchen and the new gym. So I wanted to let Dr. Hefner know we used Mother Nature to our advantage to keep things going. So,
I accept no excuses here.
yes, sir. So, well, those boys up there in the 30-mile-an-hour winds and 10 degrees, they don't want to give you one. So they're working hard there. So that's the end of the report. And any questions or comments?
Our amphitheater at Irmo, how many will it seat? Can they use it? I know you can use it for a lot of things, but I was thinking about having outdoor,
Yes, ma'am.
whether put a whole class or a whole, how many could actually need in there?
Yes, ma'am. I don't want to tell you a number, but I know it's in excess of 150, 200. I need to get you an exact number, but
That's
yes,
okay.
ma'am.
I just wondered if it had to be, if it was, I've seen them kind of small, and I didn't know how big this would be.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Ms. Lovelace?
I noticed we didn't have Chapin in here. I don't think, did we have Chapin?
No, ma'am.
How's the punch list going on in Chapin?
We are actively working the punch list, and we're pushing hard to get those areas wrapped up. Some of the items are outdoor, specifically some brickwork we've got to get done, and hard to do that in the rain and freezing weather, but that is still at the top of the list and at the forefront at Chapin, and we're working those.
So we're moving on. We're
Say-
moving on.
Yes, ma'am. We are closing it down and moving on. So.
Thank you.
Did you have some other questions?
I'm okay.
Okay. And I keep meaning to ask this, and it's compared to all the wonderful things we're doing, but at Irmo High School, the wonderful little bench areas, the sitting areas out in front of the Fine Arts Center, the wood on that, is that permanent wood, or is that just a filler?
That wood needs to be dressed and stained for the final stain, and we're wanting the wood to cure, and I want to make sure it's ready to go to receive that final application before we go and do it, so.
So will the stain cover up? I noticed that there's some stamp marks and some others. Will the stain cover that?
Those members that will not be covered will be replaced, and that's on the list to be done if not adequate.
And I'm assuming this, you mean it's cured so that it's treated wood? And
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I've just had several people ask me about that, and I wondered
ma'am.
myself. And
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
When you're talking about cured, to tell them, I mean, for treated wood, tell them about approximately how many days it takes to cure treated wood.
I like to use the rule of thumb of 60 days, and I know they've been out there longer, but with the cold weather, we just got caught in a catch-22, and I really didn't want them putting it on there, and the temperatures dropping. I wanted it to be ideal so that we don't have to do it 2 and 3 times.
And you mentioned the mud because of all the rain that we have at Chapin Middle School. Once everything thaws out, where do we stand with that mud? Is it no longer an issue because we were able to, I noticed, do some concrete, pouring some concrete, or?
Yes, ma'am. All of that will be taken care of when we final grade around the building, and we've got a lot of sidewalk up there to be placed, and it's just the time-distance problem of getting all the building built before we go putting the final concrete measures on the ground.
So we having to make any special, like, bridges or anything to that?
Ice.
Just ice? Okay, we're not having to.
They, the best they can, they bridge with crusher run or gravel up to the building, but with the large lulls that it takes to move all that concrete block, it just churns it and keeps churning it up. So you could do it today, and if you get a bad rain, 2 days later, it's tore up. So actually, it's probably better if we just plow through the mud rather than placing a bunch of rock there, because we'd have to contend with it down the road when landscaping comes this spring and this summer. So it's just a necessary evil we have to contend with till we get closer.
And maybe you said this, and I was looking at my packet, but how about the completion date for Chapin Middle School? Where do we stand with that?
We are tracking to be ready to ring the bell on the first day.
We do like hearing that, don't we?
I would like it to be earlier than that.
Well, we'll ring the bell. We'll ring the bell. We'll give you a few days to move in. So.
Okay, yes, Mr. Haltwanger.
Yes, Ms. Huggins, back to the bench issue, I guess, the question you asked, if it says takes about 60 days for it to cure, and if you have inclement weather that alters the term, the time? I guess my question is, if that's the case, then why would you put them out? Why do you put them out before they're ready?
Good question.
I mean, why wouldn't you store them and put them out when they're cured?
Well, our intent was to have it complete and ready to go, and being honest with you, we ran into a time distance problem with bringing the auditorium online, and I could have made them do it, but I didn't feel comfortable doing it with the weather we had coming, and it's something that I should have got done sooner, but we didn't,
Sure.
and that's me.
Ms. Lovelace?
On that, we're talking the treated wood, I mean, even though it's like 60 days, but it doesn't hurt it to stay out.
No, ma'am.
You know, because it just kind of keeps curing a little bit, doesn't it, as it goes? Matter of fact, it probably wouldn't hurt it if it stayed longer than 60 days.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay.
You should have told me that.
Any other? Yes, Ms. Hammond.
I have two, which, both Irmo. The front of Irmo, that's finished, right? The old part, you know, not the new building, but not Fine Arts Center, but our older part where you go in the main office.
The front main
Yeah,
entry?
that's finished.
That is wrapping up, yes, ma'am. We
Well,
have-
I just wanted to be sure, because I had a lot of people ask me that. And my other question, this was a good time to ask you about, because there was confusion about it a couple of years when you first started, a year or so ago, starting this. Did we really save the bricks that where we can, at some point, whenever Irmo wants to do something with them, that PTSO sold the bricks and it's got lots of...
Oh, the ones with the name on them?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, we have.
And I was told that we did. I just
We
wanted to be
saved
sure,
those,
because I promised
and
to ask that.
I'm not sure if every one of them went back down in front. There are some that are down there.
Some went back
but-
down?
But
Okay.
they are saved and
That's what-
available to put elsewhere.
And I was just thinking, they were talking about the mud or something, you know, who knows, there might be a creative PTO, SIC coming along, and as long as we know where those bricks are, you maybe can be used somewhere else in memory of the people that bought them. And
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Ms. Hammond, whenever I was over there, I walked over there, and there are a lot of bricks with names.
Yeah, I have not walked over,
So I don't know if it's all, but I would suspect it is, because there were several big
There are
plots.
two big areas
Yeah.
on each side of the door. Yes, ma'am.
So that, but the ones not used are stored where they...
Yes, ma'am.
When they have a place for them.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
All right, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Well, I thank Mr. Huggins.
I needed, and I know Mr. Neal has told you, but next week will be my last week with coming, unfortunately. And I wanted to introduce my relief, Mr. Barry Evans, to you here. Matter of fact, he built the building we're standing in here tonight. So he is much more seasoned and much older than I am. So you will be in good hands with him. And matter of fact, he's just coming off the big River Bluff job across the river with our friends from China. And so he's very intimate with them and will be very instrumental in the closeout of both Chapin and Irma. And so my last 5 years here have been a blast, and it's been a pleasure working with y'all. And I have a lot of friends and some family in this district. And so it's been an honor here to help y'all through this program, and I appreciate it very much. So.
Mr. Huggins, we certainly hate to see you go. You have certainly been a wonderful person to work with. We appreciate your hard work, and we asked all these questions just to make you feel really good about being able to give the answers on your last
I appreciate that
presentation
more
to the
than you
board.
know.
I am sure, but we wish you the best. Absolutely. And Mr. Evans, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Welcome, welcome. We look forward to hearing reports from you as well, and thank you for being here.
There we go. Thank y'all very much. Good night.
Thanks,
Good night.
Joe. That concludes the superintendent's report, and I do hope Mr. Huggins has told his replacement about all those excuses I don't want to hear. So make sure we got the list down.
Weather.
All right.
Okay, wonderful. Next is our public participation. It looks like we just have one person, Ms. Murphy.